I hope you're still ready to take things even further than they were taken earlier today. It's my pleasure to introduce the next session. I'll just do the introduction and then I'll go back to my laptop and provide support with all the Zoom and technical issues. So I kindly ask my colleagues in the audio video team to go to the next slide, please. And I call my dear colleagues from SMART² project, Paris Fokaides. Please, Paris, come and join me. We will then have Nicolas joining online from Cyprus, telling us more about the testing phase. Together with Paris, we have Pablo Carnero from Riva, also representing SMART². Please, Pablo, join us. And we also have colleagues from Tunes project and Enea. I called on stage Tatiana and Luca, please. So they will guide you through additional insights and lessons learned from SMART² project and Tunes project. And with that, I give the floor to Paris and kindly ask each of you to then pass the floor from one to the next. And then at the end, Luca, I kindly ask you to pass the floor back to Pablo, who will be also moderating the second panel discussion that we have orchestrated for this afternoon. Many thanks and happy listening, and please keep your questions alive. There will be this moderated panel discussion, so we will still be able to answer some of your questions. And I hope online everything is okay. Please continue reporting as you have this morning if there are any issues, and we will do our best to solve them. Thank you. Please, Paris.
Okay, so I'm very happy to be here with you today. I would like to apologize to my very good friend and colleague, Pablo Carnero Melero, because his name doesn't appear in the agenda, but he's the one to present the virtual training center. Pablo, that was my mistake, and I apologize for that. So what we will present today, we have chosen some highlights of the SMART² project to present. SMART² is one of the 4 SRI projects that was initiated back in September 2022. The main purpose of the project was to support the uptake of the SRI scheme in Europe. And this was our main concern all these 3 years, to support SINEA and the European policies in the field of the smart buildings, and to do our best in order to bring the SRI closer to the European citizens. We have chosen many ways of doing that, but what we will present today is how we developed some smart ways of doing that. And actually, this is also the meaning of SMART². SMART² goes for smart tools for smart buildings. So this is why we have smart in square. So what we will present today, we will mainly focus on 4 aspects and deliverables of our project. The first one is related to the scalable SRI assessments. We will demonstrate the tool that we have developed. By the way, all 4 projects have developed great tools that we all envision that will stay in the market and support the SRI uptake. In our case, in the SMART² project, we have also developed a tool. It's named Smart Ready Go. It's a standalone tool that will soon be available as a SaaS as well, and that is currently available to the open public for use. So we'll demonstrate the tool and how we were able to provide scalable assessments with the use of this tool. Then we will move on to the dashboards that we have developed, which are useful for the engineers, for the assessors, and the most important thing, which was also managed by other projects, was the creation of benchmarks. What we are currently missing in the field of smart assessment of buildings are benchmarks. We don't have a clear vision on the building stock, the European building stock, how it performs in terms of benchmarks for building smartness. Then we will demonstrate the work that was carried out in the field of standardization. SMART² delivered a SEN workshop report, which is proudly being continued by the Technical Committee of Bonnybrook 247 under Working Group 7. This was a completed work, a report that is now available for all European engineers, guiding them how to conduct an SRI on-site audit. We'll demonstrate what was achieved in that field. And one of the most wise decisions that was taken by SMART² was to give to Riva the responsibility for developing the training session for European engineers in order to, and we will finalize with what was done for the training by Riva, and this will be presented by Pablo, a virtual training center that we envision to be established as a reference for training in the field of the SRI in Europe. Next slide, please. Okay, starting with the tool that was developed in the SMART² project. The SMART² Go is a cloud-based tool that currently being accessed by everyone. So we'll have a QR code in the next slides. You can even Google it, SMART² Go. It's an open platform that can be used by all engineers. The main idea of this assessment tool is to provide to the engineers different methods and ways of conducting the SRI assessment. We have placed a lot of emphasis in user friendliness for our platform, and this is something that you will realize when you will use the platform, and all that with the purpose to make the SRI more approachable to engineers and to support the uptake of the SRI. So the user friendliness interface was something that we placed a lot of emphasis on. And at the same time, we have decided to focus on dashboards. We'll demonstrate these dashboards in order to enable the creation of the backbone and the required knowledge for insights related to smart buildings. Next slide, please. So this is a QR code where you can download the application. As said, within this application, you can find links to dashboards with the analysis of all the assessments that were conducted with the use of the tool. At this point, we have over 6,000 assessments with the use of the SMART² tool, and all the assessments, all the metrics of these assessments are available. We have almost 400 certified assessors from all 27 member states that have used our tools, and we have assessors that are registered in all 27 member states. Of crucial importance was the call center that we have developed, a simplified service with the help of which in just few minutes an assessment could have been conducted. And actually in the next slides, we will present in more detail this aspect of the project. Oh, can we go back, please? Okay. At the same time, we also have access to the virtual training center in the tool, something that is very important and that we envision to be established as a reference in training. And as said, this service is powered by Riva. Next slide, please. Now, in this video, this is a video, if you can start it. So in this video, we demonstrate the tool. This tool was, as said, developed and delivered for simplifying the SRI assessment. A very important aspect of the tool is that it is translated into all 24 EU member state languages. It allows for the generation of detailed reports. It's also responsive to multiple devices, and it's fully automated in the sense that the performance is conducted with simplified methods. What you see here in this slide are some interfaces of the tool, which demonstrate the simplified way in which data is provided. We follow all steps of the regulation for conducting the assessments. You can use different methods, and as you can see, you also have the related dashboards, which will be demonstrated in the next video, where you can see the metrics of the assessments conducted. The tool delivers certificates, it delivers reports, analytical reports with the different aspects of smartness of buildings. And this tool has been tested in agreement with other tools that are being used in the field. It's also referred in the webpage of the Commission of DGNR as one of the tools that can be used for implementation of the SRI assessments. And we envision to keep this tool after the completion of the project to enable and support the uptake of the SRI in Europe. So SMART² Go is accessible to all users, and it is at this point open access to all interested parties. If we can move to the next slide, please. Something smart that we have developed from SMART² project was a so-called call center. What is a call center? The call center is not related to a telephone center, but it is the procedure where we collect data for assessments by using a service, which is a Pollfish service, according to which we trace users online. We address a simple questionnaire with 20 questions. We collect the data, we do the analysis, and we communicate to their email at the same time the results of the assessment that was conducted. Now, this tool explores AI features in the sense of collecting and choosing for the users to address the questions. And it's iterative in the sense that we repeat this procedure until we get the number of assessments that we wish in order to do the analysis of the SRI and to consider the results that we collect as representative. Next slide, please. Now, with the use of the call center, we are able to implement over 5,000 assessments. We are able to cross-check the results of the assessment in different ways. And we are also able to visualize these results and extract concrete conclusions with regard to the performance of the smartness of buildings across Europe. Next slide, please. Okay, as you can see in this slide, we see the number of assessments that were conducted in different EU member states. It's very important to state that in many occasions, the results of the assessment were cross-checked with analytical assessments of buildings and were also used in testing stages. In the case of Cyprus, this will be presented in the next presentation. We had 20 analytical assessments and another 500 assessments with the use of the call center, and we were able to cross-check the results with regard to their agreement and to identify trends. Next slide, please. So the work that was carried out in SMART² included as well the numerical analysis of all the results that were delivered by the use of the training, the call center. And you can see here the case of Germany, the assessment that was conducted among 545 buildings. You can see the metrics of the individual domains, as well as the classes that were found for the building stock in Germany that was analyzed. In the next slide, we can see further analysis of the results. In the next slide, in different domains. So we are able to do the analysis for the automation and control level for different services that are found in the 9 domains that were analyzed. Next slide, please. This slide demonstrates another 4 domains in which this analysis was conducted. Next slide. And at the end, as said, we are able to extract conclusions with regard to the average performance of the smartness of the building stock in those member states that the method was employed. Next slide, please. This is a very nice visualization of the result. We have seen this the first time from the Polish testing stage from our friend Pavel, who is in the room. What we were able to do was that we were able to visualize the analysis of 540 buildings in 10 member states and to see and identify those domains and those services where automation performs better in Europe. This is a result of Germany. We have another 4 slides that demonstrate, if we can move on to the next one, that demonstrate what is the performance of the automation and control systems based on this analysis in different EU member states. We can move on to the next one. In this case, we are able to identify what we discussed earlier, the fact that in those countries that have enhanced aspects in flexibility of the grid and in the smartness of the grid, we are able to identify better performance with regard to the smartness of the building. Next slide, please. Next slide. This is a case of Poland, for example, where the aspects of smartness of the grid and in general flexibility of the grid are not that enhanced compared to the previous countries. And we can see the difference. This was the case as well for Greece and Cyprus. We were able to identify those domains which lack compared to the similar domains in other EU member states. This comparative assessment gives space for policy making as well, as it identifies in individual member states what are the challenges and what are the gaps. Next slide, please. And this is similar for the case of Greece as in the case of Poland, where these differences can be observed. Next slide. Now, one of the main aspects that was delivered by SMART², which was highly helpful for the engineers, were the dashboards that present the benchmarks and thresholds and, in general, the metrics analysis of the building stock that we analyzed. It is important to mention that we had a major challenge in the case of the dashboards, in the sense that we had to secure that the quality of the assessments was to the level of having the assessments being accepted. To that end, we have different dashboards. We have the dashboard of the certified assessors, in which the results are delivered by assessors that have undergone the training and have achieved the required level of knowledge in order to conduct the assessments. But at the same time, we also have those dashboards that present the simplified assessments and the assessments conducted with the training center, with the call center. It is important to mention at this point that we identified a very good agreement between those assessments that were conducted with the call center, with the assessments that were conducted by the certified assessors. If we can move on to the next slide. Okay, these are the 4 dashboards that are available in the tool and that you can access. In the general dashboard, you have over 6,000 assessments. In the call center dashboard, you have around 5,000 assessments. The certified assessors have more than 1,000 assessments that were conducted in terms of the project by certified assessors. And the last dashboard, each assessor has their own dashboard where they can see their own assessments. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a video, if we can show the video. Okay, so in this video, you can see the dashboards that are available in the tool. And as you can see, those are the dashboards that are accessible by all users, the 3 dashboards. And if you are logged in, you have access to your own personal dashboard. You can choose for the country, you can choose for the assessment method, you can choose for the domain, and then you can see the analysis of all the assessments that were conducted in terms of the project. And the reason we have implemented that is to give insights for the actual status of the SRI in Europe at this point. And you can do the analysis for all the domains and see what are the conditions for each individual service that is considered by the SRI for each assessment method for each EU member state. Okay, we can move on to the next slide. Right. The last part of my presentation concerns the work that was carried out by SMART² project for standardization purposes, and then I will give the floor to Pablo to present the work that was done for the virtual training center. Now, it was one of the purposes of our contract to deliver a SEN workshop report that describes the steps followed by an assessor on site in order to conduct an SRI assessment. It is important to mention that we recognized the importance of aligning the assessment of smartness of buildings with current practices related to energy assessments. For that reason, our strategic decision was to consider that the assessor that goes in the building will do at the same time the energy and the smartness assessment, or at least to give this perspective to the assessment. That is why we tried to align the smartness assessment with the energy assessment. And the exercise that we conducted was that we took all required steps for an energy assessment, and we have adapted them to the smartness assessment of the building. If we can go to the next slide. This resulted, Andre, next slide, please. This resulted to a new method, to a new assessment method that was actually delivered based on the existing energy audits standard. On the right side of your screen, you can see the existing energy audit procedure. So the 9-step procedure that we follow according to 16247 for the energy audits. And you can see for each step of the energy audit what applies for the SRI on-site audit in the building. This was the exercise done, and out of this exercise, a new 7-step procedure was developed with all the required detail that describes the steps that an assessor should implement in a building when conducting an SRI assessment. At the same time, and this was mainly contribution by Riva and the co-chair of this SEN workshop report, Pablo, the conditions for SRI assessors and the training requirements were as well described in this SEN workshop report. We can move on to the next slide. What was actually delivered out of this exercise was a detailed procedure, step by step, what needs to be implemented in order to conduct a comprehensive SRI assessment and what are the outcomes of each step. At the same time, templates were developed and delivered, describing what needs to be documented, as well as examples of completed audits were delivered in this report. We can move on to the next slide. Of course, the whole process results to the assessment of the building and the extraction of the SRI report, which is the purpose for which the assessment is conducted, and all the steps for the extraction as well and the content of the report are given in this SEN workshop report. The next slide presents a video in which we demonstrate the standardization work done. For this one, we will also need the sound. If we can start the video.
The SMART Readiness Indicator, introduced under the EU's Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, lacked one critical element: a standardized method for on-site assessment. The SMART² project, funded under the Life Clean Energy Transition Program, led the development of CWA 18193-2025, the first harmonized framework for conducting standardized on-site SRI audits. The CWA outlines a complete methodology, from fieldwork to analysis, aligned with EN 16-247. It has already been integrated into CENTC 247 Working Group 7, with the perspective to become the official CEN standard for SRI audits. It also defines the competencies required of SRI auditors and offers implementation tools like the Smart Ready Go platform, ready for Europe-wide deployment. CWA 18193-2025 bridges policy and practice. SMART² has made the smart readiness of buildings auditable and actionable.
Okay, this was a contribution of the SMART² project for standardization by delivering this report, which is of course accessible by everyone. And then for the last 5 minutes of the presentation, I would like to give the floor to Pablo to present the work that was done for the Virtual Training Center. Pablo.
Thank you very much, Paris. We also actually prepared a video that I think you can start playing. It's self-explanatory. I will say a few remarks on the exploitation of this because as I don't think it was mentioned, but many of the live projects are ending today, and 2 weeks they're over. But many of the results, and particularly this one, is being sustained by Riva. We have a clear determination with that, through partnerships with very trusted colleagues. And I will just say a few hints of what is not in the video. But as for the video, I'm going to shut up so that we can also try to keep up with the time. So yeah, whenever you're ready there in the back end, we can play it out. So yeah, this is what we prepared. You'll see now the main features of the platform, but it was intended to support practicing building service engineers. So the features, we're very cautious on making your life easier, being able to compatibilize that with your work or your professional practice. This is the course that we developed in the project. We are already thinking of ways to improve it and to add additional features. I will say a few words about that when the video is done. But yeah, it aims to build your knowledge as you go through. So that is the intention, that you cover the basis on the smart readiness function. So what is being smart in the heating emission service? What is that? Once we're covered those bases, then you're ready to be trained on how to conduct an SRI assessment, largely based on the audit procedure that was standardized, well, Stand Worship Agreement that will soon continue its life to become a standard. And then when you're done, RIVA certifies you as an accredited, let's say, SRI assessor. You have a LinkedIn credential, and there are many other resources to try to make your learning experience smoother. So it's not only accessing the content, but yeah, we'll keep you updated with the community forum, news and updates on the policy we saw earlier today, the many changes that are ahead. So we will keep informing the enrolled students on what is coming. We may have done something wrong, so students have the chance to spot and report anything, any typo, anything that might be inaccurate. And any materials that they access during the course, they can keep for their professional practice when they leave and are done with the course and they're ready to implement this in their professional life. Well, they can take all the materials and the templates with them to be able to continue the practice. As a few, in a nutshell, it's what we're aiming to do with the course that was developed in English, reflecting the technical framework from the SRI support team, so proposed by CNA, by the DG Energy, sorry. We have adapted it also, and this was beyond the scope of our contract, by the way, in German, Italian, and Greek. So we are determined to build on those adaptations that already took place and expand the training to be able to cover as many European countries as possible. For that, the role of RIVA in the Federation of European Heating, Ventilation, and Air Conditioning Associations is instrumental, but we need also trusted partners to support us in this quest. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to explore any potential partnership and collaborations. If any of you in the room are interested here today, I'll be around when we're done. But yeah, for the sake of time, I'll give it to
actually, before we pass the floor to the next project, we are able to go to the previous slide. Just to make a last reference to our consortium of the SMART² project. So 10 partners across Europe. The project was led by Cyprus. And as a Greek Cypriot, I'm very proud for that. The fact that Cyprus, in collaboration with friends from Italy, Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, Germany, Belgium, and Ireland, took a very important initiative to implement this project. The fact is that out of SMART², many new projects resulted. I will only refer to Smart RPC. Sophie's in the room. We are very proud to be actively involved in that project as well and to contribute with the tool that we are developed in the SMART² project. And actually, before we move on to the next project, we have another 5 minutes presentation remotely for the Cyprus testing stage, which was supported by the SMART² project. So Nicolas Avxendiou is online to present the case of the Cyprus testing stage.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicolas Avxendiou. I'm a research associate at Frederick University and a project manager at UFIA Tech. Today, I will present the outcomes from the SRI testing stage in Cyprus. The work plan outlines the key steps undertaken during the testing phase of the SRI in Cyprus. The testing phase was led by the Ministry of Energy, Commerce and Industry, while the technical work was carried out by 4 partners: Frederick University, UFIA Tech, Cyprus Energy Agency, and CYRIC, all active in live projects. The implementation period was from spring 2024 to spring 2025. Regarding the methodology used to carry out the assessments, first, a diverse sample of 20 buildings different in type, age, and location was selected. Then the necessary building data for the SRI assessments were collected. The assessments were performed using tools developed under the Life CT projects, and the results were reported following the guidelines of the CN workshop agreement. This slide presents the results from the 20 SRI assessments. The chart on the left shows the half of the buildings were rated in the lowest class, while only a quarter of reached class E. The remaining buildings fall into classes F and G, with none achieving classes A to C. The figure on the right illustrates the energy flexibility scores remain below 13%, mainly due to the lack of smart grid infrastructure. A deeper look at the average impact and domain scores. On the left chart, we see that comfort and energy efficiency achieved the highest impact scores. However, once again, energy flexibility and storage is notably the lowest performing impact category. On the right figure, the domain scores show stronger performance in heating, cooling, and lighting. In contrast, electric vehicle charging shows a negative score due to uncontrolled charging. This figure provides a detailed overview of the smart ready services implemented in one of the assessed residential buildings. Each row corresponds to a technical domain, such as heating or cooling, while each box represents a specific service. The colored cells indicate the level of functionality achieved from level 0 to level 4 using a gradient from light to dark green. This approach offers a new and visual way to present SRI results. Similarly, this diagram demonstrates a detailed breakdown of smart services implemented in one of the assessed commercial buildings. Lastly, in this figure is displaying the average smartness level of each service based on the 20 assessments conducted. Heating, cooling, and electricity domains often reach functionality level 2 and 3, featuring room level controls and energy monitoring. These services are more prevalent in newer buildings. Lighting systems show mixed results. Some newer buildings have smart features like automatic lighting and presence detection, while others still rely on manual controls. For all 20 buildings representing the average building stock, the procedures described in CEN workshop agreement were fully implemented. This agreement is providing standardized procedures for on-site audits supporting the assessment of the SRI. For each building, a complete report was filled in, following the template and the structure of the agreement. After conducting detailed assessments on 20 buildings in the Cypriot building stock, over 500 additional assessments were carried out using method A to validate the initial results. Both datasets revealed a consistent trend of low smart readiness in the Cypriot residential building stock, regardless the assessment method used. Higher SRI scores are closely linked to the presence of building management systems and integrated control technologies in commercial and institutional buildings. As part of the methodology, the concept of typical buildings in Cyprus was defined and emphasized. A visualization was developed based on the SRI assessment results to represent a typical building. The aim of this visualization is to help the general public better understand the smart readiness characteristics of a typical buildings. In conclusion, the Cyprus SRI testing revealed a wide range of smart readiness levels across the building stock. Notably, 50% of the assessed buildings fall into the lowest SRI class, indicated limited integration of smart technologies. A major finding is the consistently low performance in the third SRI pillar, pointing to a lack of infrastructure for demand response, energy storage, or smart grid connectivity. Looking closer at the functionality levels, heating, cooling, and electricity domains often reach functionality level 2 or 3, featuring room level controls and energy monitoring. However, newer buildings are more likely to include smart lighting, while older ones tend to rely on basic or manual systems. On the other hand, dynamic envelope control, EV charging, and centralized monitoring are largely absent. In fact, the EV charging domain showed a negative average score, highlighting how uncontrolled charging can negatively affect grid flexibility. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, so this was a SMART² project, and now we give the floor to the TUNES project.
Yeah, okay. So next slide, please. Maybe even, yeah, next already directly. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I would like to give an overview, so who we are, what project we are. So TUNES brings together 7 national energy agencies or representatives, 3 technical universities, and Empirica as coordinator and BRG expert. The aim of the project is to support 7 member states in the preparation to the next round of EPC and SRI policy transposition. So we are really a policy-focused project. The project lasted for 2 years and is finishing now. And today I would like to present to you our methodology, so the tools that we used, that we applied. And in the end, I will present to you some general key results, what energy agencies prepared, and yeah, in a general way. Next slide, please. So first of all, a few words about Better Regulation Guideline, or shorter BRG. It is a European framework to policy making, a very advanced approach that actually was created for the European Commission staff. And the objective for better regulation is to ensure that policymaking is based on evidence, that it involves stakeholders, businesses, and citizens in the decision-making process, and yeah, was created to make laws on European level. The complementary or companion resource to the Better Regulation Guideline is a set of tools, Better Regulation Toolbox, which contains about 69 tools which help to make policymaking transparent, evidence-based, and inclusive. And we decided to take some of the tools and apply them to the work in our project, and energy agencies went through some of the important methodological steps to go to make a deep analysis, collect evidences, and based on that present the final result, the policy options. Next slide, please. Here you could see how energy agencies applied better regulation guidelines. So you see the scheme is quite complicated, a lot of points. In general, energy agencies went through the specific methodological steps, and through the whole process, the stakeholders were involved. So we conducted a survey, series of interviews, workshops with stakeholders, workshops with ministries, regular consultations with stakeholders and ministries. So it means that throughout the whole process, we used a collaborative approach from data collection to implementation, which helped us to collect the data, the evidence, and to validate this data and assumptions and ideas. So next slide, please. So we started with the first step, problem tree, in a series of analytical approaches. Why it was that important? So problem is at an existing negative situation, and just aiming to eliminate problem may not always solve this problem. If you kind of cut the tree, but you leave the roots, the new tree can grow. So that's why what was aim of our project is to, in work of energy agencies, to find the drivers of the problem, the roots of the problem, to go very deep and understand what factors lead to these main problems. This was a very challenging task exercise in the very beginning of the project. And next slide, please. After identifying the problem, we also worked on objectives. We had to identify the specific objectives, which are measurable remarks on what policy options should achieve in order to change the drivers of the problem, to focus on exactly these roots. These were specific objectives to be that energy agencies set. But we also had to work on the general objectives, the policy-like statements about the consequences. So those which are aimed to reduce the consequences and achieve the desired positive impact. In this process, we also used the theory of change, which describes how a combination of measures contributes to these desired actions, and thereby impact which will tackle the drivers and contribute to achievement of both general and specific objectives. In our case, in particular, theory of change, we used the theory of change for, firstly, more renovations, so increasing number of renovations, then particularly deeper renovations, and usage, higher use of renewable energy sources and energy storage. This was also applied. Next slide, please. And when we identify what is the problem and what objectives we want to achieve, we did the next step. We had to collect policy measures. So exactly this steps, this statements, what will be implemented or can be implemented. The policy measures were collected in one tool. You can see just one piece of the tool. They were divided into pillars, the main thematic areas, which included several pillars on EPC, several on SRI, EBRP was also included, integration of the tools, and so on. The measures in this tool are based on EPBD articles and good practices, which were also collected in the first stages of the project when we collected the good practices from other European projects and national projects. Each measure, as you could see, contained reference to specific EPBD article and contains a remark if this measure was mentioned as a mandatory or optional one. And in this same tool, energy agencies firstly identified what is the baseline in their countries, but in member state, what they are already doing or what is already decided, what is going to be implemented. And the rest of the measures were divided into the, sorted into the basic, advanced, and comprehensive policy options. So the policy options of 3 levels of ambition, starting with the basic one, which is the kind of simplest form of intervention with minimum changes, resources used, required. And the comprehensive policy option was the highly ambitious, which requires then, of course, much more investments of resources and costs. So this tool was used was basis of work on policy options by energy agencies in Tunes project, but we also make this tool public. It is in open access on our website, and we believe that other member states also could use our tool. Next slide, please. Thank you. So after energy agencies designed the policy options of different level of ambitions, of course, they had to understand which is the best, which is the most effective. And for that, we conducted quite big impact assessment. And as a part of the assessment, we deployed qualitative and quantitative tools and multi-criteria assessment. So here, this criteria included the effectiveness. So this is an extent, so how well a policy option achieves objectives, both specific and general ones that were identified before. And efficiency, also qualitative assessment of all effects over time relative to the baseline accumulated over time. And generally, this was based on cost-benefit analysis. Coherence criteria showed or helped to analyze how well the policy option interacts with the relevant legislation, if it contributes to it, and so that most importantly doesn't contradict to the existing national and European legislation. And proportionality is an extent that degree a policy option is doable for all stakeholder groups. So what is necessary to be done. So analyzing each policy option in all these criteria and conducting cost-benefit analysis, the energy agencies could understand, could see in the result which policy option, which level of ambition is the best in their context for their needs, and which option would be preferred one. And the next slide, please. And in the end, the main result for energy agencies, they developed national report following all the steps that I have described to you. You could see the structure of this report. It is generally based on each methodological step, starting with an analysis of current situation and setting of objectives, coming to the description of baseline and policy options, applying theory of change, conducting impact assessment, and identifying the preferred option. The very last chapter in the report was dedicated to the rollout pathway. So energy agencies also thought how this preferred option can be not developed further, but implemented. Yeah, what are the steps with the timeline? I have to make here a remark that energy agencies are in charge of these national reports. So right now they are not public, and it is a decision of policy or of energy agencies if it will be published, and ministries as well. But we encourage them to make it public. So these were the methodological steps, and now I would like to present you some of the general overview, general results, general tendency, what we noticed during the project based on the national reports that were developed. The next slide, please. Yeah, this is an overview of policy options that were designed by energy agencies. This is a general, doesn't mean that every country, every energy agency had the same. This is just general tendency, what was the intention, how to divide the measures. So basic policy option was generally a collection of mandatory PBD requirements. And it mostly included EPC measures. For example, measures that were aimed at some changes or unification of EPC layout and content. It was also important on this level already to speak about the national database and some central information points website. Awareness campaign was also included in the basic option, as well as expert certification system. So countries talked about some unification of the points and just forming a basement for future changes probably. As you could see, as for the other tools, just BIP appears on this level and also in a voluntary manner. Speaking about the next level of ambition, higher level, the advanced policy options, this already included not only mandatory, but also optional BBD requirements. And here we see that, again, the level goes higher. That's why the measures also go stronger. So it already also includes deeper renovation advice, financial incentives and subsidies for vulnerable households, one-stop shops, BIP and SRI are voluntary, so SRI appears only at this level, so higher level, as just an introduction, beginning of integration. But what's also important to notice, they think not only about just, for example, raising awareness and explaining what is SRI or starting at some test phase, but also at the same time starting the SRI training, also some unification, creation of the system, and so on. Speaking about the highest level, the comprehensive policy option, it included also mandatory and optional PBD requirements and some additional measures. And here we see that energy agencies understood that at this level, only at this level, we can speak about integration of some processes, of some tools, integrated building passports and real-time monitoring, more comprehensive financial mechanisms, some establishment of information portals with detailed data and who gets access and so on. You can notice that BIP and SRI are mandatory at this level. And they also talked about interoperability between EPC and SRI. So SRI appears as a complementary tool for EPC, BIP as well. And here, for the comprehensive policy option, energy agencies described that they wish to establish interoperability and kind of interconnection between databases or between tools and so on. Looking at this general like a summary of distribution of measures into 3 policy options, you may think that energy agencies decided that we will go only for basic one and we can't invest on advanced and comprehensive option. And you will be wrong. And it's interesting that after conducting impact assessment, cost-benefit analysis, and checking all this effectiveness and efficiency, proportionality, so all criteria, most energy agencies who were participated in the TUNS project decided to go for advanced and comprehensive policy options. What does it mean to us? It means that they see that implementation of further development of EPC, implementation of SRI and BIP, setting the interoperability of these tools and systems and databases in one step as one set of policy option will bring a lot of benefits. So it means that, yes, it costs, but all the impacts, environmental impacts and social impacts, economic impacts and general benefits was that high that just few countries decided to go for basic option. Doesn't mean that basic is bad, not. Basic is, as I already mentioned, it sets a very good basement for next steps. Yeah, it also has to be done. Everything depends on the context of the specific member state. And next slide, please. Here I would like to present some of the numbers, the result of cost-benefit analysis and some of the environmental and social impact assessment results. This is not absolute numbers. This is relative numbers relative to the baseline. We tried to extrapolate them to the European level, forecasting for the EU population in 2050. So that's why it's just general numbers that we could refer to. So it means that if we, first of all, you can see that all the numbers are positive. Yeah, so it means that there is impact in energy savings, in social assessment of social impacts. Cost-benefit analysis is also positive. And it can bring, if other member states also go even for the basic policy option, implementing only required mandatory EPC requirements, it will already bring benefits on the EU level. The next slide, please. As I already mentioned, the last chapter in the national reports was the rollout pathways. And of course, it differs from country to country how they proceed. So energy agencies planned the steps to enact the preferred policy option with estimated timing. And I just summarized some of the most changeable steps. What is interesting to see here that according to the timing suggested by 7 energy agencies, we see that already in next 2 years, we can come to the technical implementation step. And after that, we are coming to the point where we are just controlling and updating the policy and monitoring and seeing what else needs to be implemented or corrected there. Next slide, please. So I would like to wrap up the project achievements and say here that, so first of all, about the better regulation guideline, which was again created for the European level. Energy agencies worked with this for the first time and they applied the methodology, and it was very challenging. Some of the processes, so they had to go very deep in analysis and they had to start thinking a bit differently, I would say. But the approach was appreciated both by member states and by the ministries who agencies consulted with and presented the result with. So we see that this methodology is working on national levels as well. We have collected a lot of data. So we, as I already also said, we had interview and survey and a lot of workshops with a lot of participants, a lot of stakeholders involved. This also contributed not only to our project, but also to knowledge exchange. We shared tools and we shared the practice collection of good practices with sister projects on the next-gen EPC cluster, on SRA cluster, and survey and interview results are available on our website. The technical universities who are partners in the TUNS project, they are preparing the journal paper, which will be published soon. And probably the main result is that we believe that the methodology used in TUNS is highly replicable to other member states. And that's why also we are sharing our tools. So practice collection, methodology, policy measure tools, everything is available on our website. And impact assessment tool is also available upon request to Empirica. Yeah, that was a long way to this final result, but I'm very proud of when I heard this presentation of the final reports by 7 energy agencies, what they decided to go for and how they understood the current situation better and how now they can see the perspective, the alternatives and plan better way. And I would like to give now the word to Luca Lanotte, Enea, an Italy energy agency who went through all the steps with us and who could share how TUNS contributed to SRI test phase in Italy.
Thanks, Tatiana. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Luca Lanotte from Enea, the Energy Efficiency Department. Next slide. Okay, I would like to show a few slides on SRI test phase, as this is the first opportunity to present it during an SRI joint event. And the second part, I focus on the support of TUNES project. Next, please. Okay, this is the timeline of test phase. It was launched by the Ministry of Environment and Energy Security in March 25, and it will end in February 26 with the report to European Commission. The test phase is conducted by ministry, but with the full support of ENEA. So the duration is 1 year. In the first month, we involved in the stakeholder engagement. In June 25, we start the development of an SRI web platform that will serve both as a calculation tool and a database for of assessments for ENEA. And last month we start with some specific trainings to individual professionals and companies and the SRI assessments. Obviously, during all this year, ENEA is promoting the test phase, the launch, the results, and so on. Next slide, please. Okay, at least 30 assessments will be carried out with case study covering buildings of different uses and climatic zones in Italy. We want to focus on non-residential buildings with a nominal power over 290 kilowatts since the first obligation. We are applying only the method B, and we are evaluating also some possible adaptation, for example, revision of weightings or considering Italian climatic zones in the calculation tool. And then it's important for ENEA to standardize the assessment procedure and the approach, I think, developed, derived by the audit energy, the energy audit developed by SMART². It's very useful for this point in Italy. And so we will have an average, we will present to European Commission an average SRI based on a representative number of case studies reflecting the Italian building stock, and the calculation of SRI of some exemplary cases to understand what is the maximum score that SRI can achieve with the current technologies on the market. Next slide, please. Okay, just 2 slides to show the first results. This is about 3 office buildings as exemplary cases, with starting with advanced smart technologies installed. We are considering all domains mandatory, and the overall SRI is about 40–45%. I think is in line with the best score of the other projects. Next slide, just to show that the key functionality that has the lowest score is obviously the interaction with the grid. Next slide, please. Now, the final part, I show how TUNES project support the test phase and our activities. I think the most important support is regards the stakeholder interaction. We conducted within TUNES surveys and interviews to stakeholders to investigate the opportunities, barriers, and problems on EPC, but also on these 2 topics, SRI development and deployment, and the integration of instruments, in particular EPC and SRI. This allows us to interact with research institutes, companies, standardization bodies, and the ministry. And this interaction facilitated the launch of test phase. So it was the TUNES project was very important for the launch of test phase, actually. And then another aspect faced within Tunis is the organization of thematic workshop. In this case, we addressed this workshop to professional bodies because there is a lack of knowledge in this field. Next slide. I think the last slide, yes. During the test phase and during the project, we worked on this flow, starting from the problem 3 on the objective 3, explained by Tatiana before, the selection of policy option and the calculation of impact assessment. Within the activity in impact assessment, I just show, I think, an interesting number regarding Italy and what are the biddings involved in the first SRI obligation, so over nominal power over 290 kilowatts. We estimated that 1/3 of the total of non-residential building stock is interested to this obligation. This is a significant value for Italy. That's it from my side. Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. You're dismissed, except for Tatiana, that is also a panelist in the next section.